Hello, my name is Kayla, and I am getting into the YouTube community as my channel, Sad Girl Saga, to talk about different things that I've struggled with in my mental health journey and the different kinds of conditions and things that I have. And I think it's really important. I've been very inspired by all the people who've come forward to talk about these things because it makes us all feel less alone, and it can help people figure out maybe how they fit into certain things, or help them in their diagnosis and treatment journey. And it helps everyone who doesn't have the things that we have just learn about it more and respond better to people they might know in their personal lives. So I'm very excited to start this and trying not to put too much pressure on myself. I have 3 major mental related diagnoses. The first is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Second is ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And 3, my most recent diagnosis, is bipolar type 2. So I will talk about all of these in the course of my YouTube journey, but I wanted to start out with something, I guess, kind of simple, but something that can be really helpful for people, which is how I got diagnosed. So I want to make a different diagnosis story for each of the different things that I have, and hopefully make them brief. I can talk more about my experiences and kind of things that I've gone through with each one of these, but it is very important to know kind of how I got diagnosed, very briefly why, and things to keep in mind if you are trying to do that. So the first one I can start with was the first diagnosis that I had, which was post-traumatic stress disorder, specifically a complex type. It's like a newer category where it's more about prolonged exposure, usually in childhood, to traumatic events. That can be things like abuse in the household, either to yourself or domestic violence against others. That can be just growing up in a very unsafe environment, unsafe neighborhood. If you grew up really poor or in a war-torn area, a lot of violence, anything like that. Those are some more common examples. For me, it was just, I guess I'll just call it household of violence and abuse. So that's the first thing I got diagnosed with, and it made sense for me to start there. I would say if you have trauma in your history and you know that you've gone through really difficult things in the past that have shaped you in some way, you want to explore trauma to start with, because trauma can impact you in so many ways. Anything from your self-esteem, the way that, if you have chronic stress and you're really uptight and you can get easily reactive to things, really intense emotions, especially in terms of relationships or feeling threatened, not being able to sleep, not being able to focus, getting really distracted and just being out of it. Those are just some of the things I definitely would recommend looking it up, because if you do have other conditions, it can be really hard to tease out what is trauma and what is something else that's more, deep and inherent. So that's why I started with that trauma diagnosis thing. I had thought, I've always struggled with depression on and off. I've always struggled with mood and emotions. And I definitely, for multiple years in college, I was like, I probably have ADHD, and started learning more about how that presents in women. But in 2019, I had a very bad time my last semester of college, awful downward mental health spiral. I was really struggling, so I sought out help on my university campus, exploring those free resources that you can find, especially if you go to school. Schools are very much connected to free and low-cost mental health resources. They're not always great, but they're there. So that helped in terms of me getting some kind of immediate coping skills to deal with my shit. And also the graduate students who I got to see for free. She had nudged me in the direction of, hey, maybe you should look at trauma and recovery from that in the problems you're dealing with. It seems like a lot of it can be related to that. And I was like, I don't want to look at my past. Why do I have to figure out that stuff? I just want to focus on now. But in looking at different things about it and reading the book, The Body Keeps the Score, which she recommended, it's very popular, The Body Keeps the Score, I realized it was a lot. It did add up for me. So I wanted to explore that, get that out of the way, work through those issues. It was very helpful for me at the time. And once I was able to get a job, like several months after graduating, and I finally had some money, I sought out a therapist who was trauma focused. You can look up trauma focused therapy. She also used emotionally focused therapy, mindful based stuff, somatic therapy. Sometimes it's like in your body kind of stuff. Those are some key words you might want to check out. I was able to find her through Psychology Today, and they have a feature to search for therapists based on your insurance, what you're looking for, the issues and everything. And she was great. She was great. She knew a lot about trauma. We did a lot of work for like a year and a half. The last year of it being like deep trauma work. In a safe way, because she actually knows what she's doing. She's not trying to re-traumatize you. She was working on just helping you get to where you felt secure and you know where you're at now, not where you used to be. And she helped me kind of go through the diagnostic criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder and dissociation, which is connected to that. So both of those are very helpful for me. And yeah, that's where I started. So my next videos, I will talk about the ADHD and bipolar, and I hope that everyone else, if you are watching this video, I don't know who's gonna see it, but if you are on this video, you can drop some resources about how you got your diagnosis and what that process looked like. Bye.